Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Your Joyful Era with Courtney. I am so excited today because I have a very special guest, one of my manifestation besties. I love her. I'm such a fan. Um, and I am like obsessed with her content, and I'm just so grateful to have her on. Lydia, thank you so much for being here. I'm
Oh, I'm
so
so
grateful to
I'm
have
so
you.
grateful you've got me. I love our talks.
Me too. So we always talk about how we are so similar and the way we view things is very aligned. And I don't
Definitely.
even know how we connected because I feel like I just was following you
Yeah,
forever and loved
same.
your content. And then I think I just randomly sent you a voice note one day. Like I gotta talk to her.
And now we voice note every single day.
Exactly. And now we're like besties and I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad you're here. And
Okay.
so Lydia is a manifestation coach as well. And I just have to say, and I would love for you to talk about this, what you're doing right now, because you have such a fun, high energy, like energetic presence online. And I have been loving the new series you've been doing, your September
The
rebrand. So
rebrand
tell,
series.
yes, it's so much fun. I'm like, girl, you could be a comedian. You have like
Thank
such an
you.
aura, like a presence. I love it. And it's
Oh,
so
thank
much fun.
you.
And I really enjoy watching you. So tell everyone like what you do, who you are, what's going on with you. And I would love to hear it.
Okay, so my name is Lydia. I'm a manifestation coach, and I just want to make manifestation as simple and easy as possible for people because I know there's so many jargon words out there and do this technique and do that. And I just want to make it as simple as possible because it is really simple. Don't get me wrong, it takes persistence and it takes consistency, but the actual process is actually very simple. So that's my mission for the world, is just to make it as easy and, like you said, as fun as possible for people. And that's why my account is called Get a Fucking Life, Babe, because I don't want you to sit there all day journaling like a weirdo for your manifestation and, looking out the window and waiting for it to come. I want you to get a life and just have fun while it shows up, and really put emphasis on living your life in the moment now. I discovered manifestation when I was 16. Well, I was just about to turn 16. I was 15. It was March 2000. No, it was February 2009. My grandma had just passed away, and my auntie flew over from Ireland, and she brought about 7 books, copies of The Secret, with her, and she gave them to all of us. And but I just really latched onto it. I was just like, "This is amazing. This is incredible." And I remember taking the book into school and be like, girls, we can manifest. And they were like, what? Like, manifestation has only been cool in the past 5 years, since the pandemic and since TikTok's blown it up. But before that,
Yep.
you were strange for believing in manifestation. So I've just always been really good at it. I've applied it easily. A lot of the stuff I do now, like the Neville techniques, I was doing back then just like intuitively. I wasn't meaning to. So like the feeling it real and the stats before bed, I was doing that anyway. That was my way of practicing my belief. So I've just always been really good at it, but I was always like manifesting things, if that makes sense. So it'd be like the next thing, and I'd be putting all my energy into it.
Yep.
um like my self concept when it came to like 2021 was in the gutter, because I had to go on government benefits because of the pandemic, because my business then was a beauty business, so we were off work for the longest. Nobody wanted to come near me. I was a close contact service.
Oh
Everyone thought I was a
no.
big germ. So I was out of work for the longest. I had to have government help to help me with the business because I was living on my own as well. So it was just a time of all of my self-worth around money and business got depleted. Just everything just crumbled because I've worked since I was 13. So having government help really like affected me. And then because the pandemic was such a hopeless time as well, like I couldn't get into manifestation mode. And then to top it off, a year later my best friend died in 2021 suddenly. So I was down here. I was in the gutter, as I say. And I just kept seeing self concept work on TikTok and people talking about self concept work, and I teetered into it before because I've been listening to Neville and reading Neville since about 2017, 18. So he spoke a lot about self concept, but it hadn't been explained to me in a way that these creators were on TikTok. And I was like, what the hell have I got to lose? Like, I'm in the gutter anyway. What have I
Yep.
got to lose by trying this? Like, whatever I'm doing now is not working. Because after Taylor passed away, I was partying the pain away. It was just like a downward spiral. I was, falling in love with people that were no good for me because, I was lonely and I just needed someone to validate me. And it was a shit show, a complete shit show. Am I allowed to swear, by the way? Because I've swore a lot in the past 3 minutes.
No, I love it. See, say everything you want to say.
I
Like,
just
I
realised I
love
haven't
it.
even got consent for all this swearing. Um, and yeah, I just thought, what have I got to lose? Like the life I want. And I knew enough about manifestation as well to know that whatever I was thinking, feeling at that time, it wasn't helping me. So I discovered self-concept work and really started applying it. And then in March 2023, I set myself a 2-week self-concept challenge, and that just changed my life. I'd kind of been half in at that point, and things were going good. I'd built up a bit of, I think I had 10 or 20K on TikTok then, but I wasn't seeing the money from it like I needed to. I wanted to move to Ibiza for the summer, and I was just about to turn 30. And I was like, I need to do this for Taylor as well. Like he doesn't get this anymore. Like he doesn't have the choice of being down or depressed. Like he's not here. So I was like, I really just need to go all in and show myself. I need to give myself permission to blow my own fucking damn mind and just see what I can do. See how good life can get. And it's just been off the charts ever since. Like I'm so grateful that that grieving version of me had enough delusion to think it could
Yep.
be a little bit different. If she could see where we're at now, oh my God, I think she'd just burst.
Oh my gosh, and look at how proud of you she would be,
Yeah,
and
so
how
proud.
grateful, like all these former versions of ourselves. Um, it, it's I look at it as like the whole phoenix rising from the ashes thing, and I think it's so funny to me, and I love that story. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Of
And
course.
I think it's so funny. So many of us started with The Secret. I also
Yeah,
started with The
always.
Secret. And
That's
then
why I don't hate the law of attraction like everybody hates the law of attraction because
no,
I'm
I
like,
like it.
it's a good base. It's a good starting point.
I agree. I think it's such a good like segue into all of these concepts. Like it's a good starting point, and it's
Yeah,
something that you can kind of conceptualize um even from a more limited perspective. And I also find it really interesting how so many of us too who now do what we do, and we teach and we share, and through all of these experiences that we've had, and really rising from the ashes of our former selves and transforming ourselves through manifestation and self-concept so that we can help others do the same, and be that light to share to the world, right, and be the
definitely.
example, a lot of times came from like the lowest place you've ever been. and
Yeah,
and I can
definitely.
absolutely relate to that because that was my story as well. And the more I talk to people, and I love these talks so much, and thank you so much for being here, because the more I talk with people, the more I see that like that is a commonality that we all share, that from the lowest point in our lives came the biggest transformation and the biggest like take back of power, if that makes sense, like you
Yeah,
really
definitely.
reclaiming yourself and finding self-empowerment and now sharing that with the world. Like that's amazing.
I think it's like really interesting to see how like your darkest moment can birth something, such a
Yeah.
fire in you, because you in that moment, and you'll relate, you're not feeling great about yourself. I felt worthless, I felt hopeless. I used to go to sleep crying my eyes out and dreading waking up the next day, and I felt like such a fuck up all the time. So it's really hard to comprehend how I could even think it was possible. Like I look back, it's so funny now because I speak to you a lot about my manifestations and what we're calling in, and I think, how do I even struggle to believe that I could manifest something now when I turned that situation? Is the mind is so crazy in how it limits you sometimes. I'm like, how can I even question myself after I turned that around? So
Yes,
that's
I
one
know
of the
exactly what you
that's one of
mean.
the biggest things I love to do, and I speak to you a lot about this. Like, if I can manifest that, I can manifest this, and that's like one of my little affirmations. It's just reminding
Yeah.
myself of that evidence of, yeah, if I can do that, I can do this.
Absolutely, yes. And look at all the other things that you've done and brought into your life and brought to fruition, because it really is all the same thing. We just put these different conditions and parameters and like limits on ourselves. When I
Definitely.
remind myself of that too so frequently, like look at all the stuff you've done. Look at all the things you've spoken life into and now you're living. Like what makes you think you can't do everything
It's
or
crazy.
anything.
The mind is so funny in that
It
respect.
is.
It's so funny. I think some people have an easier time with it. I think once they see one thing happen, it I think it depends on how your mind is predispositioned. That my brain's a natural bitch. My brain hates me sometimes. Like, especially during like the week before my period and everything. Oh my god, like it's a minefield. But also I think it
Yes.
depends on like maybe how bad the trauma was leading up to that point.
Yep.
And I think it depends on a few things, but I know my mind will still now have me questioning when I can whether I can manifest something really like not something small, but something where it's like, of course you can. You've done all this.
Yep, exactly. And that same. And I'll find myself sometimes too, I guess because that's duality and what we are and what we do. Like it's there's little you and there's big you know what I mean? There's like
Yeah.
human you and then there's like God you that that it's like that constant uh, battle. I don't want to say battle, but like
No, that's
um
it. It's fluttering between. Sorry to interrupt you. It's fluttering between. I am the creator, and
yep.
can I do this? And I think this conversation is so important because I think people see us online and assume we are 10-10 all the time.
Oh my God, no.
And a big part of my teaching is encouraging people to be okay with the fact you're not going to be 10-10 all the time, and you'll still
Exactly.
manifest what you want.
Exactly. And I have to like pull myself out of that a lot, like because I heard someone else say this not long ago about how the more aware you become of who you really are, the more aware you're going to be of everything that you are. And like that
Yeah,
disempowered version of you is still exists because all of it exists. And so yeah, you're gonna notice things even more. You're gonna be even more aware. And I've even heard, I would love to hear your take on this too. I've even heard so many people tell me like, and I've heard people say it online where like when I found out about the law of assumption and manifestation, in a way, it made it like even harder on me because now I'm like
yes,
hyper aware of everything and every thought and every feeling and what my mind is doing. And I'm like, yeah, I get that because I feel like that's definitely something I've experienced as well.
definitely. I definitely think I went into a little bit of spiritual psychosis in maybe 2018, 17, that kind of era, because I was my brain is hyper vigilant anyway. It's hyper aware. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
the ADHD, but I spot patterns really easily, like in people and in things. And so like my brain is like, okay, it's like this all the time. And so add in something that makes you even more self-aware. I feel like
Yes.
whenever I've manifested from a place of delusion in the past of like, I'm just gonna like when I used to say I'm gonna get someone to give me their car, like someone's gonna give me their car because I couldn't afford a car at the time and my finance had run out and didn't want to get another car on finance. And everyone was like, "What are you gonna do for a car?" And I was like, "Someone's gonna give me their car." There was such a delusion in that it happened because it's almost like I didn't believe it was gonna happen. So it happened really fast because I didn't put any barriers up because it was such an outlandish thing to say. But I think when we are in law of assumption community sometimes like we can get hyper vigilant on every single thought, and I'm just like, no, you just need to be edging a little bit closer to your dominant thought every single day. And just I the way I explained it recently is my goal for my clients is to be in neutral, not
Yeah.
high up here all the time and not down here all the time. We really want to stay out the red zone as much as possible. But if you had your desire, you'd be in neutral most of the time. And I
Yeah.
think people think we have to be thinking about it 24/7. That's fine. Like that can work, but you don't have to be. Like when I was manifesting the car, I thought about it a lot because I really wanted it.
Yeah.
But now I have it, I don't think about it at all. It's really neutral to me. And your desire is actually going to be something you don't think about a lot when you get it. Like
I
everything I do
agree.
now, like I've been on 6 holidays in the past 6 months, like 6 vacations. I don't think about it a lot anymore now because it's second nature to me. But three
Yeah.
years ago, that was all I could dream of. So the goal is to kind of get in neutral as much as possible instead of like this hyper awareness of every single thought and feeling. And I think as well, because of the law of assumption, like we do kind of tend to go way too deep into every single bad mood, bad spiral. Like I think we think like we're wizards or something, and the bad mood's gonna, oh my god, like something really bad's gonna happen. No, it's just a mood. It'll pass. Like it's exhausting sometimes when you are from living in that space. And so I think that's why our work is so important because we really discourage that kind of hypervigilance.
Yes, I agree. And it's funny because this is something we've both experienced. And I feel like you're the same. Like you're very real, and you're going to talk about what you've gone through and what you've experienced. And now let me share with you what works, what doesn't work. Like,
Yeah,
don't do what I did. Like, let me, but to your point though, I feel like I've done it all, I've experienced it all, and I'm still expanding, still growing like we
yeah,
always are. But I totally identify with and can relate to what you said about, what it should just be a little more neutral, and you're the observer instead of, I don't have to buy into every thought, every feeling, because my identity doesn't change. If I've stated this is who I am and that's my
yeah,
identity,
definitely.
then I can have a mood, I can have a moment, I can be a human. But, knowing who you are and being that conscious though, that's what gives you the freedom of choice to go, well, I don't just have to blindly subscribe to whatever my mind's trying to tell me. Now I have a choice where I can go,
Yeah,
no, I can feel that. I see you, I hear you, like whatever. But that's when you just kind of let things roll off your back from that place of being neutral. Because I've experienced both, where like lowest of the low, and then from being in that lowest of the low. I mean, in 2022, early in 2022, before I found all of these concepts, I knew about manifestation, but it was a very like surface level understanding. And it was in the lowest point of my life where I was like, how did my life turn out like this? Really, like you said, like beating myself up and just feeling sorry for myself, and like, um, all these things, like how did I ruin my life? Like that was my story at that time. And I was very disempowered and in that victim state. And that is from that point is when I started learning about all these things that brought me out of it. And I will say I had the experience of, you know, this is crazy. The difference though from I'm in this low place, and just a couple months after that, I am in the most joyful, highest
crazy.
whatever that I've ever experienced. And
Yeah,
what's funny about that is, because I was in such a low place, that's how it felt to me, like coming out of it, because it was such a stark contrast. Whereas like now, I don't really go to those low lows, and I don't go to those high highs either. I'm just, like you said, more in the middle
yeah,
and more objective. And to me, it's been really helpful to go, wait a minute, I can observe and I can appreciate this heightened awareness, but that's what gives me the freedom to go, no, that's not what I choose. I don't have to buy into that. I don't have to subscribe to that or whatever. And really, that's kind of like the sweet spot of, to me, like self empowerment of knowing all of this, if that makes any sense.
yeah, I agree. I mean, my clients, they'll message me now. I've had a down day, I've had a spiral. I'm like, I can have a down day, but I had a really bad week in May. I could not. It was when the Mormon Housewives came out in the UK. Like I binged that series back to back because I just needed something to numb my mind out. I could not stop crying. I don't
Yeah.
know what it was. I don't know what kind of hormonal rage was going through me that week, but I was still affirming, and I was still like, no, but it's going to be fine. I don't care. I do not care. Universe, I'm contrasting because I'm going to expand. And I got something on the Monday that I never thought I would get. And that was when I got asked to be on that retreat as well. So I was at a retreat 2 weeks ago in Malaga, like my dream day ever. And I got asked during that week. And if that's not proof that your bad moods don't push it away. But the thing with the law of assumption is if you assume it's going to push it away, it's going to push it away. So you have to
Yep.
really get on board with this idea of making your own rules. And Amanda Francis talks about making your own rules up. And also, there is a woman on YouTube. She's been around since I started coaching years and years ago. She, because I actually started coaching in 2016 and then come out of it again a few years later, and went back into my eyelash business. But her name is Illuminating Joy, and her name is Amy. She's
Okay.
phenomenal, and her video changed my life because she was like, I can have resistance and I can still get what I want. I was like,
Yep.
what? And I really feel like that video pulled me out of that spiritual psychosis I was in before, because like my friends used to say, Lydia, like you're allowed to have a down day. And I'd be like, no,
Yep.
I'm not. Something bad's gonna manifest. And it was like this fear in my body of uh almost like like God complex sense of, not in like I'm the God state that we talk about, but like a complex sense of control, where we
Yeah.
really think like having a crying day in front of the TV is going to fucking cause an earthquake or something. Like it's crazy like how the brain tricks us into these things. But seeing her video on, I can have resistance and I can still get what I want. I can have some doubt left over and I can still get what I want. And I was like, holy shit, she's incredible. And she also did one video, which I teach my clients a lot. Sometimes it's not about affirming, affirming, affirming. It's about just removing some doubt and
Yep.
doing like she's big on resistance exercises as well. And I really believe resistance exercises can cut out months of affirming if you know what to do. And that will bring you back into neutral. Sometimes it's not that you need to believe more, it's you just need to take out the shit in the way of what's telling you don't believe it.
Exactly. I agree because it's like what's dominant for you. Like, who are you
Yeah.
dominantly being and where are you coming from? And I had this huge, and I would love to talk about this with you now and hear your perspective on it. I had this like light bulb moment just recently about affirming, and especially robotic affirming, because you and I have talked about robotic affirming before, like in the voice notes about how like it's
Yeah.
not for us, like
It's not for me.
it's too much same. And what's funny about it is I realized, oh, this is not for me. It's just making it like worse. But I also like every time I'd used it, I got what I wanted, but it never stuck around. And I got
Yeah.
such an epiphany about this, even like just this week. And I was like, here's the reason why, Courtney, because you haven't made this your identity. So
Yeah.
it can't stick around
It can't
unless you're
stick
making
around.
it right, unless you're making it your identity. Because think about who is doing this, who is robotically affirming the
Yeah.
version of you who doesn't have it and isn't it.
I mean,
So,
yeah, even Neville says don't like repetitively affirm
right. And so I
in vain,
realized
in
I got
vain.
to make
He,
this
yeah.
my identity, not
Yeah.
just say, like, because if I'm just trying to affirm to get it because I'm being the version of me who doesn't have it and I don't think this is my identity, that's a whole other thing than affirming from a place of, oh, this is already mine. I'm just claiming it. Right?
Yeah. Like I love affirmations and I love the 10-minute
Me
method. Like
too.
little, I've been affirming today because I if I repeat the same affirmation over and over again, it tells me that I am in a rush for it. And there's
Yeah.
going to be so many people that are going to listen to this and have mixed views on it, and that's fine because we can all coexist together. It's,
Yeah.
some people, I really don't buy into the 2 cup method, but I've got friends that swear by it
Oh
because
my
whatever
God,
you
I
put,
used to do that
yeah,
a long time ago.
whatever you put your belief into is
Yeah.
what's going to work for you. Now, with
Right.
robotic affirming, for me, because of my brain is so hyper aware and hyper vigilant, I feel like it actually puts me in a really less magnetic state. Whereas recently I've been trying out subliminals, absolutely love those. Sleep affirmations, I love those again.
Yeah.
EFT is my favorite, and feeling practices like scripting and visualization and meditation, they're my things that make me feel like
Yes.
the electromagnetic field. And you have to get both in coherence. You need your mental side of it and you need your feeling side of it. And the feeling side of it is like the nervous system regulation. You can affirm all you want. If your nervous system don't feel like it's safe, it ain't letting it it's not letting you have it. And like you said, that doesn't apply for everybody, because some people get amazing results with robotic affirming. And
Right.
to that I say, well, you probably got a good like nervous system going on then. And
Well,
if
I
not,
will
because
say it's always worked for me. It just didn't stick around because I
yeah,
I finally realized like all this time later the reason why it's not sticking around is because where I'm coming from, I'm not the identity. So I got to make this my identity.
yeah,
And
definitely.
also you and I have talked about this before. Like there are certain things in my life that I never felt the need to robotically affirm for because I just like
Nothing.
had
I
it
just
in
knew
my
it was
mind.
coming. Yeah.
Right. And like
And the big
I
things as
am
well.
this. Yeah.
The big things. When I hit 100K on TikTok, that came from just, it's mine.
Yes.
Just it's mine. The car,
Exactly.
like I never robotically affirmed for the car, like my Mercedes, like, and that felt so, when I was manifesting that felt so hard to manifest in, and I was affirming for it and I was doing all the things. once I cleaned the resistance around it, and I was like, actually, why don't I want this Mercedes? Why does my brain, why does my body not want to manifest this in? And I was like, because I'm scared I won't be able to look after it. I'm scared I'll ruin it. I'm scared I won't be able to afford it. And I was like, oh my God, no wonder it's not manifesting in, because I've got all these limiting beliefs and this shit going on as to why
Yeah.
my brain doesn't even want to manifest it. My subconscious mind is blocking it for a reason. When I cleared that reason, or those reasons, within a month,
Yep.
the
I'm not
perfect car came.
surprised.
Like, it was crazy. And I was like, oh my God, all this time I've been forcing, and I just needed to clean up my energy around it.
Yep, I agree. And you know what? Even that in itself, because I can guarantee you now, you identify as the person who gets to have this car and who does maintain
Oh,
and
I
take care
already
of it.
know
And
what I'm
now that
getting
is your
next.
identity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I already know I'm getting a GLE or a GLC next. And then I'm getting a G Wagon. And
I
how I
want
feel
a
about
G Wagon
Mercedes,
too.
is how I feel about Apple. I'm never going to go to a different brand. That's,
I've
I'm
heard
stuck
other
to it.
people say that.
Yeah. I just love it, and it makes me feel so sexy and magnetic, and it's just wild. But I'll never be without it now. Like, I'm not going backwards now. And it's the same with I had the same with money in the business. Like, I did go backwards with money. I had,
Yeah.
a 10x my income when I did the 2 week self concept challenge, and then I kind of had this like freak out moment, and my old identity came back, and I had this moment of, no, we're not going back there. And ever since then, it's not gone back. But like, you have to
Oh
lock
my
that
gosh.
identity in.
That's it. That what you just said, that is it. That is everything, because you just making that decision. No, I am not going back to that
Yeah,
identity. This is my identity now. And
yeah,
that is really what it's all about. Instead of you going like trying to affirm and make yourself something that you don't actually identify with, you
yeah,
actually made that switch in your mind. I've done
yeah.
this with like I was talking to a friend about this not long ago about the difference in those two things, because I don't know how this happened. It just happened organically before I knew about any of this. And you've seen my like before pictures. You've seen
Yeah.
photos of me like um where I was like bigger and
Still
did
beautiful
not,
though.
well, thank you, but like did not look my best, did not feel
Yeah.
my best.
You didn't feel your
And
best.
it was like one day I just decided, no, I'm thin. I look good. I am beautiful. Whatever. I will always be this way. And this is who I am now. And
Yeah.
it wasn't like me having to do a bunch of stuff or affirm a bunch of times. I was just like, I just made that decision
A hundred
and I
percent.
never went
I've
back.
just had this week. So I've been on 2 holidays in the past 2 weeks. Woohoo. But I went to
Yay.
Malaga, and then I went to Greece for my best friend's wedding, and I put 9 pounds on in those holidays. And I'm a former big girl. I put on 56 pounds when I was 21, or when I was 20. And so I can put it on quite fast if I'm honest. But I put 9 pounds on, and on Saturday I was like, oh my God, look at the scale, all my hard work. And I was like, no, it's going to drop off. I've lost 7 already.
There you go.
It's Wednesday. In 4 days, I've lost 7 pounds, and I'm not a big girl anymore, so I don't have that much to lose. Like, that kind of weight loss isn't really usual, but it's because I've literally just posted a story about it on my Instagram, because I was like, that could have gone 2 ways. I could have gone, oh my God, I'm such a shit person. I'm gonna have another Domino's to help my feelings now, and oh my God, I knew I'd mess it. Or I could just go, okay, I'm resetting.
Yep.
My identity
Exactly.
now is a version of me who loves fitness, loves being a certain, not even like, it's not about my size, it's about how strong and how energetic I feel, because I was starting to feel really, I had the flu at the weekend, probably because I was run down and eating crap. So like, I identify as someone now who loves working out, loves looking after herself. So I'm just going to go back to that identity instead of the one I've been practicing. And it's all practice and mental rehearsal.
I
Like, who
agree
are you
with you.
practicing being? And
Exactly.
that's what's going to come in the next 3 months. Whoever you're practicing being today is what's going to come in the next 3 months.
Exactly. I had a big uh realization about all of that recently too. Like in going back to like the awareness, the hyper awareness, and my mind is always on, just
Yeah,
like yours
same.
and how you describe. And so
I wish it
I
was.
had I know. My husband and I talk about this all the time, like because my brother-in-law says he has no inner monologue, and I'm
But
like,
I
what?
I think I think that is the people who robotically affirming really works for.
Right.
Yeah,
because
I
it
think
that
when you have
nothing's
no
negating
monologue
them.
going on, yeah, I think it is impressed really quickly. I think that's the people where it just works.
Right. And
My
I
brain is
cannot
like this.
fathom that.
Yeah, I can't fathom
Same.
that. Like my brain's thinking now.
I know, I know. I'm like,
It's like
how?
it's
And
hyper aware. There's a table there. There's a door there. Like it's just
I
it thinks about
know.
everything.
Same, and I'm like, but honestly, too, like, and I know like everyone's brain works differently and everyone thinks differently. And we had a whole conversation. We went on a trip for my husband's birthday, which is actually this week, but we did it early.
Amazing.
And with my in-laws, like my sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and we're like driving up to the mountains together, and we're having this whole conversation. And there's like three of us in the car. And him, and we're talking about the inner monologue, and he's like, I don't have that. And all three of us are like, what?
Yeah, some
How?
people just
And
don't
he's
have
like,
it.
I don't know. I just, and so we talked about, it was like, wouldn't it be so nice to not have your
Love
mind
it.
just like going all over the
I
place
would
all the
love it.
time?
I would
That would be
absolutely just
amazing.
love one day
I
of
know.
just, and even like, I mean, it's not legal in the UK. I know it's legal in some parts of the US, but and I've got a lot of friends that like they'll have a joint at night, and even that never helped me. It made me more hyper vigilant. It's never even made me relax. It's just not my thing, and
I,
I'm like the
yeah.
biggest thing on the planet that is known to help people relax, and it doesn't make me relax. So I'm just
I know exactly what you mean. I've had both
crazy.
experiences though, where, and I've had both experiences depending on what it is. Like, and this is my story with it, but like the edibles and the gummies or whatever. If I were to do that, those are the ones that make me like, oh my God, I'm gonna die and I'm never gonna come down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
And it may
it makes me so hyper paranoid as well.
right. But I've had the experience too where I've like had a pen or something and just done like a little tiny whatever. And then I'm like, okay, I'm chill. But anyway, that whatever, regardless. But I had this like epiphany this week around like, okay, if I'm aware of what my mind is doing, I started being like, who's asking that? Who's saying that? Because it
Oh,
ain't
yeah,
me.
that's a
It's
good
not what I'm
one.
choosing right now. So, like, what I'm declaring of who I am, because I know the world has to show me that I am who I say I am, right? It's the identity. Like, we keep going back to the identity, which you and I talk about all the time. That's how you maintain and because you're being it, because it's your
Yeah,
identity. And so, I started questioning those thoughts that come up and those doubts. Like, who's asking that? That is a version of me that I am
that's
not
such a good
choosing,
question.
right? And it like really brought me a lot of peace and freedom and like detachment from, once again, being like, I mean, I see you, there you are again, but that's not me anymore.
Yeah,
And it was just like such a light bulb moment for me. Like, who would be asking that? Who would be trying to robotically affirm? The one who doesn't have it. And that's not what I'm identifying as anymore, if that
yeah,
makes any sense.
definitely. I think as well, like the old story does kind of tend to fight you back a little bit sometimes. So I'm just like, I'll kind of speak to it like I'd speak to like a third, is it third person? I'm like, honey, like, we're not
Yeah.
doing that anymore. Like, we're not doing that
Yep.
anymore. We don't need to go back here. Like, there were some things last week that could have really pulled me back to my old self concept and of not feeling worthy and whatever. And I was like, no, I'm not. I deserve to take up space. I'm here. I'm fine.
Exactly.
It's safe. And I've
I'll,
been doing a lot of EFT as well, which I think's helped. And I think EFT and meditation, they are the things that do like help my brain. They are the things
yep.
that give me some mental peace during the day because my nervous system's calm. It's
Yes.
not as
Oh,
hyper vigilant. So I do like I really don't like creators that say just robotically affirming is the only way to go. Or
right.
you don't have to do EFT. I think that some people robotic affirming works amazing for, so keep doing it. But it doesn't
Right.
work for me. And also same time, some people don't need EFT, that's fine, but you can't like just generalize it and say that oh you shouldn't do that or you don't need that. Like everybody's it's like in a school if everyone was just you didn't take into consideration you might be a visual learner or you might be an audio learner, you might have
Yeah.
ADHD, you might have sensory issues. Everyone has a different brain and it's really about finding the pattern that works for you with manifestation, I think.
I agree. I agree that it's not a one size fits all. And I will say, like, I am so grateful for all of those things because meditation
Yeah.
changed my life. When I was in like postpartum and talk about like spiritual psychosis, I feel like I was losing my mind around that time because I was
Yeah.
like, so low and depressed and not sleeping. And I had a baby that cried all the time. She had reflux. I didn't know
Oh,
she had reflux. And so I like, but that's when I found the secret. And that's when like I started learning about all this. And I had this like very holistic doctor who delivered my baby at the time. And I've talked about this before, so people know my story, but just to like touch on it briefly, she recommended meditation instead of just like
oh,
throwing pills at
really?
me.
How
Yes.
amazing.
Yes, and I've got goosebumps. Like I love her. Like to this
Yeah.
day, I'm like that saved my life, and I started meditating every day, and it's saved my life. It changed my life, and I started feeling so much better and having so much more clarity, and that led me to more and more and more. And so, then I found nervous system regulation. Didn't know anything about that in the past because I was
I
always living in
didn't.
fight or flight, and I didn't know it.
Yeah. I look at my 20s and I'm like, you poor girl. You just needed a
Same.
bit of nervous system regulation. You were scared. Your body's in fight or
Yes.
flight. Like, and I was
Yeah.
trying to force it away. And like, I think that's why if you're not doing, and also the brain doesn't like change. It doesn't want to change identity. It likes who it is, even if
Right.
that's broke, loveless, heartbroken.
Right.
It's
Like it's
used to
not
it.
biased. It's
No,
just
it's not, and
comfortable.
it's not designed to make us happy. And also, you'll never make the subconscious mind wrong about itself. So if it's got this
Exactly.
identity, if it's got this identity of you as one way, and you're not doing anything to change it, it's going to stick to that. It's going to keep bringing you back to it. The
Yeah.
nervous system regulation allows it to change in a safe way. It's not going to fight you back. It's going, oh, we've done some affirmations, but we're feeling regulated. I feel safe. This must be a safe place to go. And it's like the nervous system regulation to me is like a green light for the
Yeah.
body to change and the mind to change and then the manifestations to flood in. And I feel like that's the way, you know how like you bribe. I literally bribed my my goddaughter earlier like with some sweets because she's got mood swings. She's only 4.
I have
And every
two
time
girls, so I
I'm
get
like,
it.
well, all the others they just love me straight away. But Elsie, she's I never know what mood she's in, so I came round with chocolates today. And I feel like nervous system regulation is how you bribe the mind to manifest.
I will
And
say
it's like
that
that's
that
how I
was
bribe
my
my clients
experience
as
too.
well. Yeah, that's how I
Yeah.
bribe my clients as well. I'm like, do nervous system regulation and it will manifest faster. And that's I genuinely don't think 80% of people would do it if you didn't say that with it.
Right. I've had that experience too when I originally, learned about self concept and started like implementing a lot of the stuff that we talk about. I was doing nervous system regulation every single day. And I've even said that to myself before, like when that old self would come back up, because it will come back up when it's so
Mm.
you've been in this identity forever. And now you're telling your mind something different. And it's like, hold up, girl.
Yeah.
That's not what are you doing? So,
Mm.
nervous system regulation literally did change my life too, and like allowed me to be able to tell my mind something different and step into a different identity. And I've told this story before too, but I'm going to tell it again because it's so funny. Where I'll never forget, like, if you look back on my really old TikTok videos, like some of the original ones, I first started posting in 2022. I lived in a different house because my husband and I were separated still at that time. And I'll never forget, like, I was on my own. My kids were at school. It's just me. And I'm like standing in my kitchen, and I was like, talk about 2 weeks. I was like 2 weeks into my own like self concept challenge that I set for myself. And I love that you do that because I think it's like foundational and amazing. But I'll never forget, like, I was feeling so good and different and calmer. And I would like really started stepping into and sinking in this new version of me. And that old self creeped up in my mind. I'm like washing dishes at the sink or something. And my mind just started going, don't you want to be like mad at this person, like a guy, uh, because I held this story of myself in relationships for so long, and I was like victimized and taken advantage of and stuff by guys who would like drain me and like whatever. Anyway, and that old self creeped up, and it was like, don't you want to be mad about this? Don't you want to feel victimized right now? Don't you want to like think about this? And I'll never forget, I was like, no. And I like screamed it out loud at those thoughts, like, no,
I love
I
that.
am not that anymore. That is not me. And then
Yeah.
immediately, like, as soon as I did that, it was like, okay. And then I was back to the other. And it just took me being like, No, that's
You
not
do have to
what.
put you do have to put your foot down with your own mind
Yeah.
sometimes. And it does take discipline and it takes repetition, but the more you do it, it's like training a puppy to go outside. This is in a book called E Squared by Pam Grau, and she says like the training the mind is like training a puppy to go outside. You just have to keep bringing it outside until it pees on the tree instead of the carpet. And the mind's the same.
Yes.
You have to just keep bringing it to where you want to go until it stays there.
Yes, it's a practice. I look at it as, and I told my clients in my chosen one class just last week, we talked about the major thing for our third week was like focus. And that's what it is. It's a game of focus,
Yes,
training your focus to
100%.
something different than what it's always been and doing it on purpose instead of just whatever it's always done on
A
autopilot. You
hundred
know what I
percent.
mean?
And that's why so I have like the affirmations, the nervous system or like the focus work, the affirmations, the nervous system regulation, and getting a fucking life, which is detaching basically. Because I'm like, if
Yep.
you do not get a life and you don't fill up your life with hobbies, fun things, you're going to spend all day thinking about this manifestation and what that's going to do. You can't spend all day focusing on something that's not here. You'll end up focusing on the gap. So that's why for me, like the getting a fucking life babe part and filling up your time. Like I know I've whittled more in the past few days in my manifestation. I didn't think about it at all last week. And I
Yep.
saw great movement with it. I didn't think about it at all last week because I was on holiday. I was busy. And I'm not saying we can be on vacation all the time either, but I know the
But
past few
you're
days
just
I've
focused on you instead of
just focused
that.
on me and having fun. Now that I've
Yep.
been in the house for 3 days on my own, I had the flu, I was poorly, I couldn't go to the gym. That made me think about it more and more because I'm noticing the gap. So the more time you can spend actually doing other things and focusing on other things rather than the manifestation, like, and then when you do come to focus on it, you can focus on how wonderful it's going to be and the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And it's like strategic focus. It's like consciously choosing to focus on how it would feel rather than allowing your focus to go, oh my god, it's here, no it's not, it's here, no it's not.
Exactly. I love the get a fucking life thing. I think that's so important, and it's funny because that's definitely something that I have experienced too in like the process of self concept and the manifestations I've intended for consciously in the past, especially when I first started like playing around with all of this. Like I just me stepping into that different identity where I like started really trusting myself too and trusting my power and remembering who I am and training the focus like you just said, conscious focus, where I started doing things for myself that I had never would have never even thought of before. Like I started like working with plants. I love plants. Like I used to say I had a black thumb. Well, this new version of me like loves plants, tends to plants, goes and looks at flowers.
Love
Um
that.
right. And so like all these things, started taking walks every day, which I still
I
do.
love
I have the hot
walks,
girl
love
walks.
walks.
Yes, and it's like all this stuff that you're doing for yourself because you're now training your mind to think more about you and focus more about on you intentionally. And so of
Definitely.
course that's going to lead you to getting a fucking life for yourself.
Yeah. I think as well, habits and actions, like there's such a
Yeah.
dirty word in the manifestation community. Like, oh, I shouldn't have to act. Stop being fucking lazy. Like, it's not about like, oh, I don't need to lift a finger. Taking action on your dream life can collapse time and space by months sometimes. Like I
Yeah.
always say, if I'd have just affirmed for 10,000 followers on TikTok but not posted any videos, how the hell would I have got them? How the hell
Exactly.
if I'm telling myself I want to be a content creator and I want to make money from my TikTok and I want my business to thrive through TikTok, if I didn't post videos, that would never that all right, I might have got a few viral moments here and there off by manifestation, but it
Yeah.
made me collapse the time and space between me becoming in that identity and me being the type of person who gets that success on autopilot. And those
Yeah.
like you tend into the garden, that's something you when I say get a fucking life, it doesn't have to be going out dancing on the tables with a cowboy hat on. It can literally
Right.
be like for me it's cooking. One of the things I did to manifest a relationship a few years ago was like I just cooked every single night as if I was cooking for two people. Like I wouldn't make too much dinner, I wouldn't make an extra plate. But I would just be like, okay, if I had a man around here tonight, like what would I cook for them? What would I love to impress someone with? And like I just started practicing the version of me being a wifey
Yep.
and like instead of feeling lonely in the evenings, I'd be like, oh no, I'm gonna make some food. I'm gonna make a new
Oh, I
recipe.
love
I'm gonna
that.
yeah. And it
That's
really,
so
really helped
much
me to
fun.
just, and it's all about alchemizing your current circumstance as well. Like
Yep.
when I was driving around in my Golf, like I was playing rap music and Cardi B like I was driving around Miami in a drop top. Like and I was
Yeah.
in a car that all the engine lights were on. And I was just like, I'm like, no, I'm gonna drive around this car like I am the fucking baddest bitch on the planet. And I think all these circumstances, when we alchemize them, we kind of take the charge away. We take the power away of like I was saying to one of my friends last week, like, instead of seeing your circumstances like a dead end, see it as like as a trampoline. Like, how can I use this to make me go forward?
I agree. And from that perspective too, and really being in your power in that way, it does it makes it easier for you to not be bothered by whatever's in front of your face because you know that it's old and you know that's not
Yeah,
what you're choosing anymore. So you're
yeah,
no longer letting it have a hold or a power over you, and you're not just giving yourself over to it. Well, I guess this is just all I get to have and this is who I'm always going to be. No. And then also,
no,
I love how described all these scenarios where you're making stepping into the new identity fun. And I feel like
yeah.
manifestation should be fun. And a lot of
It
times I
should be
feel like
fun.
it's so people can make it, and talking to myself here too, it
Make
can
it
make it
draining. I make it
so
draining sometimes.
serious and heavy, and it should be fun
It should be fun. And I
and
think again, it's
playful.
that if you haven't got a life and you're not doing things for fun for yourself, it is going to feel draining because you're just going to be sat there going, like I had a client the other day and she was like, how can I do more? And I'm like, no, 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 it's not about doing more. I don't want you to
Right.
do another 60 techniques. Like it's meant to put you in the state and then go live in
Yep.
it. Go do something else. Go have fun. Go focus on
Yes.
your own life and trust that whatever you're doing is enough and it's like leading you into this great place, but you don't, it's not about doing more.
Yes.
Like that's why I love having a solid manifestation routine, because it's like, okay, I can listen to my sleep affirmations, then I can wake up and do some EFT, and then I can just get on with my day. Like
Yes.
instead of like, it used to exhaust me so much. Like I remember I used to write like pages and pages and pages and pages of journaling work. Like it didn't really do much for me, if I'm honest, apart from send me deeper into that spiritual psychosis, because I
Yep.
wasn't getting a life. And I had a coach at the time, and he was like, Lydia, like you just sat in your bedroom writing about your dream life. Like you're not actually living the life you've got now. And I was like, oh my God, he's so right.
You are spot on because another thing that I've realized over my own journey too is that, the techniques aren't the power is you. And so what you just said is so
Definitely.
accurate, where the techniques are a means to an end to shift your state so that you can go out and embody who you're saying you are. And so I
Yeah.
love the way you worded that because that's it. So like we're not it's not doing more. It's not giving your power away to a technique. It's knowing that, and I love how you said what you are doing is enough. And so I will do things that if it makes me feel good, but I know that the power is not in the thing. And so I got caught back up in like over the summer especially, like, oh, I got to do this every day. And it did feel draining. And it's like, I got to do this to get this.
Yeah.
And what snapped me back out of it, because I've done both. I feel like I've done everything, but realizing once again, this isn't what's doing it. It's me. So, like, I don't gotta do all this stuff. I just need to make a freaking decision and stick with it and
Yeah,
clap back at
definitely.
anything that is not that. But you
Absolutely.
and I talk about how we're routine girls. Like, I love a routine, but I also realize I'm doing this as a self-love thing. I'm doing it because it feels good, knowing the
Yeah,
power is coming from me and because I just want to I want to do this for myself, but also not outsourcing my power to it, thinking that I got to do this in order to get what I want, because that would be like putting all these limits and conditions on yourself.
definitely. My routine is there because my brain naturally likes spontaneity, and so I wouldn't do anything then. So I feel like having a routine of
Yeah.
like I'll have like I won't do the same EFT every day because I find it boring to repeat the same things every single day. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I don't latch on to robotic affirming either. Like I rampaged in the car today because it felt really good to. I had Kanye West God Is playing in the background, and it felt like I was actually in a sermon, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so powerful and this and that. That felt really amazing for me. Probably
I love
repeating the same
that.
affirmation for 15 minutes probably wouldn't have. But
That
tomorrow I probably won't do that if I'm not driving anywhere or if I'm not in the mood for it. I might want to listen to a podcast tomorrow. And that equally, if that podcast is taking my mind off the manifestation for half an hour and it's just keeping me in neutral, that is equally as powerful as doing those affirmations. So
I
it's like
agree.
just finding whatever, it's just doing things every single day, but finding whatever is working for you. And like we both
Yes,
know robotically affirming like doesn't really work for us. But like I know that feeling it real really fucking works for me, like in crazy fast ways. So
yeah,
I'm gonna lean into that more. And it's like if you're good at rugby, you're gonna play rugby. If you're good at football, you're gonna play football. Do whatever feels good. Do whatever you're good at when it comes to manifestation. And you do have to kind of play around with them all first to kind
I
of
agree.
figure that out. It's like EFT. I first discovered that in 2017. I did it a few times. It washed straight over me. It wasn't until 2022 where I was like, I see a lot of creators talking about how this is the missing piece and how
Yep,
this can really help speed things up. And as soon as someone says speed things up, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll do it then. No one was saying that in 2017. So I just stuck with it. And
yep.
then within a few weeks, I was like seeing these huge shifts and I was like, oh my God, it does work. So you do have to kind of like find what works for you as well.
I agree. And I also agree with you that it's not a one size fits all. So let's talk about this for a minute because I know we're getting into the hour, but I really want to talk about how because I know you mentioned Neville Goddard earlier, the law of assumption community. Neville is someone that I have studied his works as well, and it's such a popular. Even that name has become such a buzzword online too.
Oh, it's such a
Um,
huge buzzword. I hashtag it on every post because it's such a good buzzword.
yeah, and I love Neville. Don't get me wrong, but you and I have talked about how sometimes it feels like uh, online it can get really rigid and also almost like cult like sometimes with the
Yeah,
whole Neville Goddard law of
definitely.
assumption community in the online space. And so I love what you said at the beginning of this call because what you said is it's like you the law of assumption is just what you're assuming, like it's you making your own rules essentially. And so like
Yeah.
Neville's way is one way, but it's not the only way. Courtney's way,
No,
Lydia's
it's not
way,
the only
whatever.
way.
It's not the only way, but I feel like people get
No.
really like fixated on it being
Well,
like
this
this
is
is the
how I
only
feel like
way.
people. I feel like people use Neville how they use the Bible. They take snippets and they run with it, and then they'll miss bits out that they don't want to apply to them that day. Like Neville actually openly talks about how you shouldn't manifest a person, but then he also talks about how he manifested his wife. So like,
Right.
there's like, and people cling to certain ideologies in both.
Right.
And I think people forget Neville didn't have TikTok. He didn't have all these things distracting him. He could lie in bed and focus on Barbados. What the fuck else was there to do in 1930 apart from
Right.
sit there visualizing? They probably didn't have TV. I don't know when TVs came about, but there wasn't the distractions like we had now. So saying I
Yes.
would just shut your mind off to everything, like it's so much easier back then. But like I was saying about the 2 cup method, there's so many people that use the 2 cup method, and that really works for them. I know so many friends that are still into the law of attraction. They're not really law of assumption based. People that
Yeah.
believe in crystals and like there's so many. It really is the belief. There's a really good book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy,
I love that
and
book. It's one of my
it's
favorites.
incredible. And he talks about how whatever you put your belief into is what's going to work and what kind of
Yep.
surfaces. And I love that kind of perspective on it. But I do feel like the
Yeah.
online community, like I feel like I'm not a rule person anyway. I don't like routine. I don't like rules, and so I'm naturally like opposed to anyone who's going to put limitations on me and tell
Yep.
me I need to do things in a certain way. And I think
Exactly.
you see it in the comment sections. No, you're doing it wrong. No, it's like this. How do you
I
know?
know. I
Like,
know. And
and
even
they
Neville
get
was
so
like,
irate with it.
they do. And you know what? I get it. I've been there too. And so, but now it's just kind of like, there's no one to convince. It's just whatever, that work, that's for you. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the
Yeah,
beauty of how powerful we are, is the freedom to choose
I
what
agree.
works for us. And so even what you just said, once again, like, it's you putting the power into that thing with your belief. And so, if
Definitely.
you can remember that, and yet, to me, I've realized recently, especially, just the foundational thing. I even have a note in my office on my desk over here: never forget who you are again, right? Because I don't ever want to forget that just one truth, that, like, the power is us, the power is me. It's not the thing. I can decide that this is going to work, but I still know I'm the one doing it. And I'm really, so that's
Yeah.
why what's fun about it, that's what makes it fun and playful. We get to play around with whatever we choose, whatever we want, but knowing, foundationally speaking, that the power is you. And, like, even Neville, he was a person too, just like the rest of us, who
Yeah.
expanded and evolved and changed his perspective over time too. And so I think people don't always take that into account. They just take, like, Neville's word is law, when really your word is law in your reality.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And I think like it's just finding like how can I put it? I feel like I gravitate towards different teachers through different seasons of my life. Like 3 years ago, it
Yeah.
was really die hard Neville. Now I'm like I lean into the nervous system regulation side of things a little bit more, and more kind of like less hyper aware, like we were talking about. Way, um, I
Yeah.
used to do stats religiously every single night, and it fucking worked. It really worked. I really love the book. The feeling is the secret, because for me, when I feel things, I just bring them in so fast. But then I know a lot of people can't. I don't think they can conjure up the feelings of what it's like. So I feel like it goes down to your brain type and what your body can do and your mind can do. Like some people literally can't. I know Amanda Francis talks about how she can't visualize, so she
Oh,
journals and
really?
she feels it into reality. Yeah, she can't visualize. So that's why she's so big on journaling and feeling it. And it's called aphantasia, I think. So we have to work with however our body and brain works as well. And Neville's going to be really, really suitable for so many people, but it's not going to be suitable for other people as well.
I agree, which is why, like, always just trust yourself and what feels good to you and what
Yeah,
you're called towards.
definitely.
I agree with you about, like, I have been called towards certain things in certain seasons, and then other things later on, because we're always growing, we're always changing. That's the one constant thing, is everything's constantly changing because everything's always moving.
I
We're
agree.
just energy floating around. But
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
and to me, that's just, like, the biggest thing to remember. Like, I've just been reminding myself so much lately, when my mind wants to fall back into, like, some type of victimhood or disempowerment, like, don't forget who you are ever again. And so, even though,
Mhm.
you know I try to, like, look at it as, there's little me, big me. I know I've said that before, but, like, who's asking these questions? Is it little me? Is it big me? And now that I know and I remember, I can make a conscious choice. And that is, like, so freeing and empowering. And that's just, like, if never do anything else, I just always want to remember that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like not letting yourself lose yourself into the abyss of what the old self concept wants to pull you back into. It'd be so easy for us to crumble everything and go back into like, oh my god, I don't deserve anything. It's actually harder to keep telling yourself you're worth it every single day when you haven't believed it for so long. But it's so worth it. It's so worth it in the end. It's so like
It truly
it's
is.
life changing.
Absolutely.
It's life
Absolutely.
changing, and I can't imagine going back to how I used to feel about myself. And it teeters in from time to time, and maybe I've got an experience now. I'll derive that narrative from it. And I had one recently where I was like, "Oh my god, they're leaving me out." I'm like, "No, they're not. They're not even thinking about you." Which is a
Yeah.
completely like they're not even intentionally. You're just taking that narrative and putting it on this experience because that's your old self concept. And when I can separate it and I can go, "Oh, okay, she's trying to come back." Like I can't imagine living that way where that would be my narrative all the time again. Like it's exhausting.
I hear you. I have to do that with myself, because it is the meaning you're giving, and it's the choice you're making in the moment. And I stop myself a lot of times, like, no. that's not my truth. It's this. And if I were to like
Yeah.
give into that, that's what it would be and how it would play out. But I'm so grateful to have the awareness to catch it and go, no, that's not my truth. That's not what I'm choosing. I'm going to give it the meaning and the narrative that I prefer, because that's your right. That's your right. That's your power. And it always ends up proving me right. And no matter what the circumstance is, when I make that decision, that's what it is. And so, even that in itself is so powerful to remember, because you just don't have to accept it. For me, it's so good to like question who's trying to put this narrative on me. Okay, it's the old self. It's not me and what I'm
Yeah.
choosing now.
I agree.
All right, my
I agree.
friend. Well, tell everyone what's going on with you and how they can find you and what new stuff you have coming up or anything going on.
I don't think I have any new stuff coming up. I'm really back focusing on the Self Concept Club again. So the Self Concept Club is my membership. It's where you can get the 2 week self concept challenge. And it's really my starting point for people to change their lives, and for me to show you how to put that manifestation routine in place and change your self concept. And I feel like over the summer I've had like the 2 week money challenge, and I've had a few other things going on, and I'm like, no, I really want to nurture the Self Concept Club again. You can find me. My TikTok is Lydia Killion 444, and my podcast and my Instagram is Get an Effing Life, Babe. And I spend a lot of time on Instagram, so it's probably the best place to follow me. I do post a TikTok every single day, but obviously Instagram, you get the behind the scenes, you get the stories. I feel like it's just like a more expressive way of whatever I'm doing.
I love Instagram because it's so much more personal and like
It's
community
interactive, isn't
based.
it? Like the stories, yeah, the stories feature on TikTok and things like that. Like it just doesn't land like Instagram does.
Right. It doesn't have as much of like a personal feel. Like I saw one creator
Yeah,
online
I
actually this
agree.
morning. She was like, find me. She's like, I can't. It's just like an older person too. She's like, I can't deal with like the scattered focus on TikTok. She's like, find me on YouTube where it's more like grounded and focused. I'm like, yeah, I could see that being, I could see
Yeah, I
like
can see
that
that.
perspective. All
Yeah,
right.
I
Well,
do as
thank you
well.
so much for being here. I just adore you. I'm so grateful to know you and to be friends with
Oh, I
you, and
love you
for us
too.
to be in the same field together. And I just appreciate you so much. This has been so fun, and I'm so honored to have you. And thank you.
I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
And we will see you later, guys. And maybe we'll do a part two, because we could just talk forever, and there's
Oh, I'm sure we
always
will.
topics.